Hey everyone, it's Donald again. What we're going to do is actually take off this vacuum sensor here and then the epoxy harness area, and we're going to re-Teflon those areas. So first things first, get yourself a knife, a box cutter. Your wire stripping tools will make it easier to get rid of these cords that are in here. Or the zip ties, that's what they're called. So obviously try not to break any of them. And then for this, take 2 fingers, pull off the board straight, and then you can kind of just set it over here to the side. This is probably more zip ties than I've ever seen in a harvest rate machine. Before we mess with that, make sure that you take off your door gasket. Take your tray system out because the wire inside is what we're going to be messing with. Take the tray system out. Go and let that door close back up. If you want to put the gasket back on, you always could, but it's not really needed. So get these wires all out to the side here. Looks like you're gonna have another zip tie down here. Somebody got a zip tie happy. And you can probably just set the power cords right here. So take your knife here. Don't cut the wires, of course, but get this plastic off. Or electrical tape, which this person went electrical tape happy on. So the reason why we have you guys do this, if you guys can see here, there is a ton of Teflon tape right here. You'll just see it stretching out. And then under here, there's a good, just solid amount of Teflon tape. So I'm gonna verify real quick that you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. So those areas here are what we're really gonna be fixing. So first things first, we'll take off the vacuum sensor, grab an adjustable wrench. If you come up from the bottom, you're gonna push up to loosen it. Once you get it so far out, it's just gonna pull out. So we'll take this part off. I mean, there wasn't too much on here compared to the ones we've seen before. However, I don't think they still put it on too well because there shouldn't be that much hanging out. So you guys will see after we do our fix. So we get all nice and clean. We'll set that to the side because we'll wrap it in a minute. This one, I have not taken this off, so I don't know how hard it's going to be. Everyone was complaining in my last videos how I made it look easy. We'll see today how strong I actually am. So adjustable wrench, get it on there real good. You're coming from the vacuum sensor side, and then we're going to be pulling down. And this thing wasn't even on tight. So, which can be a leak spot as well if it's not on tight, but it's also not seated all the way in. So, definitely something else that we want to adjust and address. So this one is probably one of the better ones I've seen put on, but it still has a really excessive amount. For the most part, when I actually take these off, but I will say that this one has been taken off and put on more than likely before, because this tape definitely looks yellow. That's on the very bottom, and everything else is definitely white. So unless if it got discolored because of shipping or something like that, definitely a yellow color tint to it. Not sure if you guys can see that or not, but either way, we're taking it off, so it don't really matter. Be careful here, just trying to get all this extra off. Don't cut yourself, obviously. If you're watching this video and we've sent it to you that many times because you did not do this part, unfortunately. This is probably the biggest leak spot of the Harvest Right machine, and that's why it's important that we actually make sure this is seated correct and is cleaned up and everything like that. Try getting whatever you can out from inside. If there's loose Teflon in here, try getting all that out as well. And then inside this other one, the vacuum sensor port there. Get whatever you can out of there. It's looking pretty good. So from there, Mega tape is what I use. So let's see. Last time I got yelled at for putting the tape on wrong. So I believe it's on right this way, but I might get yelled at again. So it's supposed to be clockwise. I feel like I'm going around clockwise. I am not an electrical engineer by any means, as you can tell. So there's two. And then there's three, and then we cut it. That being said, with this tape, push it down real good into here, and you'll see, I don't know if you can see, it's actually turning like a darker gray color on the threads. And I find that it works super good and it never really comes off. I've never had it come off. Even if I have put it on wrong. So there's that there. We're gonna put it back in the hole. Get it threaded up correctly so it's not cross-threaded. Wrap these wires around so they don't get all messed up. And then we're gonna really tighten this thing down as much as we can. So Many times I see a lot of ladies have their husbands take this off because it's so hard to get off. However, when you put it back on to your strength, because if your husband's not around, you got to replace it or something like that. You don't want to have to worry about him coming home. You can just take care of it yourself. So as you'll see, there's no extra that's on here, and it's almost fleshed down compared to before where we had that gap. So typically we always see that have better M tours. It's on there nice and tight. And then the last thing we're going to do is this vacuum sensor. So same thing, we're going to take that tape clockwise on the vacuum sensor 3 times around like we've done before. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So once again, as I talked about, I'm going to push on these threads, or on the threaded area, and I'll try getting closer to this. If you can see, there's a light gray and then a darker gray. And then put it into this area here. Make sure it should just go in by hand pretty easy to start with. There is a little notch. There is 1 notch. That's all you'll see on this thing. And that lines up with the notch on your board. So when you put it on, make sure you have the notch pointed out the side. Has what I've always been found to be best. Don't back out your vacuum sensor to do that. Just tighten it up a little bit more, because otherwise you're loosening it back up, and we want it nice and tight. So So it's pretty tight. Now I'm just making sure that that notch is coming down where I want it. So it's not to the side quite yet. Now it's on the side, and I'll pull this vacuum board over. The notch is pretty close to where the white is here. Should be over to the side, and should just push right on. So when we're doing testing, the last piece that you'll see that is a lot of airs, and I would just do it while you're already doing this epoxy harness area. If you wanted to, you could verify that the leaks are actually happening and all that other type of jazz. Because I'm going to probably list this one for sale, I'm just going to do it. That way it's done in case if a customer has issues in the future. I'm going to take a knife here. I'm going to get rid of this little foam ring. So this foam ring area sucks. There's a lot of spots for air to kind of release from where the wires connect into it. So that's why it sucks. And you'll probably see here in a minute where I'm talking about. So it's a little sticky. Harvest Right started putting, it used to not have like silicone on top of the little wafer, but honestly the wafer has a chance for air to still get through, so I'm not a fan of it. These wires are somewhat thick, so chances are you probably are not gonna like rip them, but obviously still be careful. You guys know there's wires there, so try going on the side of them the best you can. Many times this is the leak point that people are having when they spray. It doesn't have to be perfect when you do all this, but you know, obviously the more we got off, the higher chance that we'll have success. And I'm trying to get all of it off from the inside as well, because when I put the silicone on, I want to try having the best seal as possible. So that's uninterrupted, you know, not multiple types and stuff like that. So that's kind of pushing out that side. Take your time doing this. It's not a race. It's all about trying your best to get the best seal. Long-term wise, you don't want to be dealing with this again, I'm sure. So hopefully you guys have a little bit of patience doing this, because definitely, sure, some people can lose them. But what I want to do is show you, for the most part, I think we got it pretty good. I think when we put our silicone in, it's going to be pretty well done. Do is take you guys off of here real quick. But what I want to really show you is, once the camera decides to readjust, you'll see down here the wires that are exposed. This one's probably going to show us the best. That is the leak point that we get in the wires, and that's where the foam is kind of all messed up. So, sorry my garage is messed up. It's a garage, not a place I really live. So, so the last bit that we'll do with this is put some advanced silicone. This is 100% waterproof stuff. If you look for 100% silicone, it's really what we're kind of looking for. So, sorry if I'm moving around a lot. Normally I got you guys on the tripod. But we put it in the middle here. Suck it into the middle as much as possible so that way it can get around all those areas. And then I normally just bring it up quite a bit higher as well. And that's what I'm gonna do right there. So I'll now run the vacuum for approximately 2 to 6 hours, something like that. I'll dry the machine out 100% so I don't have any chance of any water being in there. And then vacuum just 2 to 6 hours to let that suck down. Tomorrow I'll do the Felix fix around it, but just with these two items, normally we see vacuums still in the 200 range just by doing these couple of steps many times, as long as you have good Freon and those ice rings in your machine. So this is the step that everybody seems to skip. They're definitely afraid to do this step, but hopefully this video helps you guys out getting out of that comfort zone that you guys were in, and you guys feel comfortable doing it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I appreciate you guys' time.